First time I ever seen a ghost, I was about 4 or 5. I went outside on the front porch, and there stood a man that had a kind of grayish tint to him. He didn't look really normal, but he was normal, you know. He looked like just you and I, standing and talking to each other. I go sit on the front porch on the swing, and he walks up and he's like, "Hey, Jennifer," and I'm like, "Who are you?" I took it that he knew my grandfather because he was inside and I was at my godfather's house, and I go to churches and stuff, so he walked up on the porch and sat down with me, and we had a conversation for about 5 minutes. And then very next thing I know, my grandfather comes running outside the door, upset, and screamed at me to get inside the house. So I go inside the door, and my grandfather was screaming at Brother Schubert to get his Bible. And he comes back with the Bible, and he's white as a ghost, and he's screaming out to God, rebuking, which at that time I didn't know what that was and what rebuking meant. You know, I had no clue. So this man had his hand on my leg before I went to get up, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll be back for you." I never thought anything about that, you know what I mean? Be back for me, or come back and see me, you know. So I go inside, and after my grandfather comes in, I asked him what happened, and he violently shook me and said, "Do not mention it ever again. Do you understand?" So I carried that with me for years, and finally I was like 13, and I was curious just to see what he would say. And I said, "Hey, Papa, do you remember that day at Brother Schubert's house when I was on the front porch, and that man that you prayed over disappeared right before my eyes? Was that a ghost? What was that?" And he looked at me and said, "I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Papa, don't lie to me. I know it just happened like it was yesterday." And he let me know again, "I don't know what you're talking about." So I lived for years, you know, seeing weird things, like a cabinet was on fire, burning. I started screaming, "It's on fire," and they came out of the room and it's not on fire. The fire stopped. There was no fire of any kind of proof of it pretty much anywhere. So I started noticing that there were like things hiding in corners, and dark masses, pitch black, like you couldn't see through no matter how hard you tried. See figures and shapes, and like sometimes I notice in public that people stare at me really weird. It's awkward, and I began to realize and learn that these people that are staring at me with these crazy wicked eyes, they're not staring at me through their very own eyes. They're staring at me through a demonic spirit which is within them. And after I figured out my gift, I began to learn it and realized what it was about and how serious it was. So that explains a whole lot to do with the ghost thing. But to get back to the story, I was in my early 20s. I think I was about 21, 22. I go to lay down, and speaking of, I was married. I had just got married. I laid down, I had just closed my eyes, and within not even 3 seconds of me closing my eyes, there stood a man. It was the same man that was on the porch that day that had spoke to me. That was nice, very caring. He was curious. Well, this time he was not kind or understanding or curious. He was very mean. He was pulling my hair, slapping my face, and he was moving so fast it was just a big blur. And come to find out, that was my dead grandfather. And my dead grandfather came to me after death 2 times wearing what he was buried in. Well, with the beliefs that I was raised with was once you die, you go to heaven or hell. And I began to wonder if that is true right now. Maybe the spirits can wander around until God comes back. But come to find out, the spirits, but this one, particular spirit is called a familiar spirit. And this familiar spirit can change forms of anything, of any kind. It can move objects. It can definitely mess with you more than pretty much any other spirit out there. It's because it's very, very demonic, and it has a purpose of being here to attach itself to things and to people. And it gets to know you, and it grows to the point to where it knows you more than you know yourself. But just beware of the spirits that are out here, because they can be deceiving. They can play as children, dogs, anything really. So please be careful and be very cautious, and don't play with ghosts, because more than likely you're not playing with a ghost. You're playing with a demonic spirit. God bless you all, and thank you for taking your time to listen to my true story. I will have many more to come. Thank you. God bless you.